Hello, everyone, and a very good morning to all. Dear authors and all the invited guests, welcome to the technical session 7B. Myself, Rohan Joshi, and this session will be moderated by me. On behalf of Global Knowledge Research Foundation and GR Scholastic LLP, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the fourth World Conference on Information Systems for Business Management, ISBM 2025. The fourth edition of this conference is being organized in a hybrid mode. The physical event was held yesterday in Bangkok, and the virtual event is being held through Zoom yesterday and today. That is the 25th and the 26th of September. I hope you will enjoy all the knowledgeable and interactive sessions throughout the day. Let me tell you a few quick guidelines. In this session, we have 10 presentations. Each presenter will be given 10 minutes for the presentation, and then the rest of the 2 minutes will be for questions and answers. When the timestamp reaches a time of 8 minutes, I will raise a gentle reminder. There is another request to all the participants that you all stay connected with us till the end of the session. If you have any query or update, then you can write it in the chat box. Just before we start the session, I would like to introduce you all to the chairs for this session. Firstly, I would like to introduce Dr. Mohammad Nassar, who is an assistant professor at Mazoon College, Oman, with 13 years of teaching and research experience. His research domains include software engineering and quality, big data, and databases. A very warm welcome to you, sir, and I request you to kindly address the session and share a few words. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, all of you. It is my honor to welcome you all to this session of the fourth World Conference on Information System for Business Management. I look forward to insightful presentation and engaging discussion that will enrich our collective knowledge. So, I think our time is already over. So, let us start with the first paper, and the paper is a novel design of.
Wait, so we will introduce the second session chair and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
we will begin.
Okay, fine.
At the same time, it is my pleasure to introduce our second session chair, Professor Kirit J. Modi, who is the Dean, Professor, and Head at Sankalchand Patel University, Gujarat, with over 25 years of teaching experience. He has published more than 25 research papers in reputed international conferences and journals. His expertise span artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, cloud computing, IoT, edge computing, fog computing, and big data analytics. A very warm welcome to you, sir. I will request you to share your insights with the session.
Yeah, so thank you first for eh, giving my introduction, and I would like to welcome all the authors who are actually presenting their innovative the topics in this conference, and I ensure that the contents which will be presented definitely they will be the uh, helpful to all of us in that way ki we can carry forward for the further research in this research community. The topic which we have identified, we can definitely take that things in a way that ki even we can uh, uh, develop the things to the next level. So with these words, I welcome to all the participants who join this session, this conference. Yeah. Please.
Thank you, sir. Now, moving on, we will start our first presentation of the day. For our first presentation, we have J. Silaboli, who is going to present his paper on a novel design of miniaturized heptagonal Koch fractional wide band antenna for for 5G wave applications.
So very good morning. So am I audible, sir?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir, you're audible.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So this is Selambuli from CSA College of Engineering, Tamil Nadu. So my paper is on a novel design of miniaturized heptagonal gauge fractal antenna for wideband antenna for 5G application, for millimeter wave application. So my paper ID is 264. So, as we know that antenna plays an important role in the field of telecommunication, as well as this antenna is the main component for transmitter and receiver, and also the antenna acts as a transmit device which is able to transmit or receive some microwave signals or radio signals or satellite signals. So various antennas we are used in 5G as well as in 6G. So some of the antennas I have mentioned. So here we have a microstrip antenna and PIFA, that is planar inverted F antenna, and then fractal antenna, and then MIMO antenna, that is multiple input and multiple output antenna. So based on the frequency, either it may be 5G or 6G, whatever it may be, so it's classified into three types of uh, antennas. First one is FR1, which is nothing but frequency range 1 band. So it comes under 1 to 6 gigahertz, and frequency range 2, that is belongs to 24 gigahertz to 100 gigahertz, and frequency range 3 is this band is contains 100 gigahertz to and 300 gigahertz. So comes to the introduction of this antenna. So has been we can able to see the microstrip antenna. So this microstrip antenna is a core antenna for all antennas. So this was developed in 1970, and it contains 4 layers, which is first one is ground layer, and then in between second the layer is dielectric material, and then third one is radiating patch layer. So here we have in the patch only we are going to design some of the antennas. So here also we have one more component called feeding techniques, which is either it can be a contact feed or a non-contact feed. So when it comes to the structure of antenna, so the top of patch only we are going to design some of the designs, either it may be a circular, rectangular, square, or a triangle, whatever it may be. So we can design our own shape of the antenna. So the dielectric material, that the substrate should have the lower permittivity, so that the antenna radiation efficiency will be increased. And also in microstrip antenna consists of a metal patch printed on a grounded dielectric substrate, and different geometric shapes we can use on the patch. So as I mentioned, rectangular, square, elliptical, circular, whatever shapes we can mention. When it comes to the feeding techniques, as I already mentioned, that is we have a contact feed and non-contact feed. So this is nothing but line feed, and second diagram is insert feed, which is we are going to take a slot of patch, and then we are going to giving the feed which is nothing but we are going to give input for the antenna. To ignite your antenna, we are going to give some voltage. So similarly the third one is coaxial feed. So this is from the top bottom to top we will be giving. And the advantages of microstrip antenna, it has a low profile and a better performance and flimsy size and lightweight. So as well as the size of the antenna also is very minimum. The fabrication cost for this MSA is also very less. And we have a disadvantages of this microstrip antenna. It produces only the low gain and narrow bandwidth and lower frequency. So but modern communication, we need wider band and smaller dimension antenna we need. So we are going to introduce a concept called fractal, which is going to implement it in the patch of this antenna. So this called as microstrip fractal antenna. So this fractal is derived from the Latin verb, which is nothing but fractus, which means broken or uneven or irregular shapes. So fractal antenna has a self similarity property, and it is generated by a iteration mode. And comes to the next one, compared with the conventional, that is microstrip antenna, this fractal antenna have more advantages like miniaturized size and multi-band operation and high gain. So there are two types of fractal antenna. We have deterministic fractal and irregular fractal. So these are the shapes of the fractal antenna: Sierpinski gasket and Sierpinski carpet, and then Koch snowflake, and then Minkowski Iceland fractal antenna. These are some of the fractal types of antennas we have. So these are the papers I have gone through for microstrip antenna. So the first paper is design of microstrip antenna for 5G application. So this antenna is derived for 28 GHz, that is the frequency range 2 they have derived. So here they have used the material called RT Durad 5880, and this antenna has 44 mm and 33 mm size of this antenna. So and also to the main disadvantage of this paper is, so this produces very less gain. Similarly, we have a number of papers here. I can show this one. So the second also is called as a T-slotted microstrip antenna. So here they have used the software is called a CST software. So here also the gain is, we are getting 1.95, and the size of the antenna is similarly almost very less size only. And the third one is this one is microstrip fractal antenna. So this fractal antenna has compared with your microstrip antenna, this fractal antenna has higher gain. Like if you see the first paper, we are getting 4.5 decibel, and second paper 4.9 decibel, and then third paper also we are getting them around 4 gain we are getting. So compared with the microstrip antenna, this antenna has produces more bandwidth as well as the wider more gain as well as a wider bandwidth. So the objective of this paper is to design application for 5G millimeter wave application. So here I have taken the three objectives: to design and implement a novel microstrip fractal antenna, 5G wave wireless application, and second is which we are going to design antenna is very smaller size, and the performance of this antenna in terms of gain and bandwidth should be higher one, and the return loss also should be a very less one compared with the microstrip antenna. So to obtain a better efficiency, we are going to achieve these are things. So comes to the software tool which I have used. HFSS I have used, that is high frequency simulator software I have used to design a Koch fractal antenna, and to get a length and width of the transmission line, I have used transmission line formula, which is nothing but these are the formulas I have used to find out the height and length of the antenna. So to find out your height of the substrate as well as the patch of the antenna, I have shown some of the formulas over here. So to find out the ground length, the formula is L plus 6H, as well as the ground length, ground width, we have the use the formula called W plus, that is width plus 6H. So this is the methodology I have used for this antenna. So we have to start from the HFS software, and then we are going to optimize the parameter, and then if we are going to meet the requirement, if it is meeting the requirement, we can go to the fabrication. Otherwise, again we have to design, again we have to run the software, and then if it says, we can go with the fabrication and testing process. And comes to this objective, so here I have selected the frequency for 5G millimeter wave, that is Ka-band application, that is 28 to 38 GHz, which is nothing but FR2 band. And then here I have chosen the material. We can choose any material of substrate. So here I have used the substrate called Rogers RT Duride 5880, which is it has a self epsilon r value, that is 2.2. And as well as which I have designed the Koch curve length and width of this antenna, that is 9 cross 9 cross 0.8 mm antenna. So this looks like a heptagonal shape. So based on this heptagonal shape only, I have done this iteration to achieve these are the things. So to achieve the high gain antenna, so in this paper I have achieved the gain of the value is 5 dB, and antenna efficiency also I have achieved around 98%, since gain of the antenna is 5 dB and directivity of this antenna is 4.9 dB. So to find out your efficiency, the formula is gain divided by directivity divided by gain. So 4.9 divided by 5 is nothing but 98% of this efficiency I have received. So the same software I have taken for the fabrication and the testing also done. So here I have shown some of the figures. So first one is iteration 1. So that is the initial process of this Koch curve, and then second one is iteration 2. So I have initially I have said the fractal is nothing but self similarity, so we have to make a self similarity property. Based on the self similarity property only, I'm just taking iteration 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So we can go on n number of iteration, but once if you go to above 8 or 9 iterations, the fabrication will be very difficult, so that I will stop with iteration 5. So these are the some of the results I have. So these are the based on the transmission formula, and then length and width and height of the antenna I have found. So I have showed it in the figures, as well as our top views, that is the side views of this antenna we have showed. So this is here also we have used the feeding techniques, line feed, as well as the bottom we have taken some of the hole. So based on this hole only, I have achieved able to achieve the efficient antenna is 98 percentage. And when it comes to the result and discussion, so this is software result. So if you could see the red line as well as the blue line, so the first red line is nothing but my iteration 1, and the blue line is nothing but my iteration 5. So in the blue line exactly I'm getting m4 value, that is m4 around I'm getting 27.54. so which is nothing but I have taken the frequency is 28 to 38. So in between I am getting the return loss value. So this x-axis is nothing but your frequency, and y-axis is nothing but your return loss. So I need to get the return loss is minus 10, then only the antenna will able to transmit or receive some of the signals. So as well as the bandwidth of this antenna also I have received high bandwidth. So the second
Hello,
this one is,
sir. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
yes,
your time is almost over. Please complete your presentation
yes sir, yes sir, yes sir.
in the next 2 minutes. Sorry to interrupt.
So yes sir, yes sir. So this is my result I have received. Though, so the gain of the antenna is 5, and then directly of the antenna is 4.9. So these are the comparative statement I have given. So compared with the iteration 1, 0 to 4, I have received the iteration is 0, the iteration 5. I have received gain is 5 and 5 dB, and directly also 4.9 dB, and the overall bandwidth percentage is 43.7 I have received. So this is the fabrication antenna I have received from the I have done it this in IIT Delhi. So fabrication testing, and these are the shown the figures. So this is the soft hardware this one graph for this antenna, and I have designed the antenna for 25 to 40 gigahertz. So this antenna works for 25 to 40 gigahertz. So the return loss as well as gain and direct efficiency of the antenna were studied, and the performance understood. So the novel microstrip fractal antenna was simulated by using HFS software, and the level of the optimization is also attained. So this is my overall presentation. Thank you. So these are the reference papers I have done. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your presentation. I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Before you show about the different shapes, what is the role of shape in designing your antenna? Any specific role?
No, sir. Actually, we can do whatever design we wish. So that, but it has to meet the required of gain, directivity, bandwidth value. So as already in the beginning itself, I mentioned that we have a deterministic fractal, that is some specific shape we can mention, we can do like this kind of shapes. So this is a determined shape. Like if you are doing the first one, it's called as a Sierpinski gasket. Second one is Sierpinski carpet. Like first one is triangular slot we are taking, and then square slot we are taking, and then here we are taking like a star shape. So this is a determined shape, and the second one is irregular shape. So there is a random fractal.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Fine from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to ask our second session chair if he has any questions, or we can move to the next presentation.
Yeah, okay, fine. So I think very well presented, and my only concern is it is regarding the some parameters like the if we want to develop that in the form of the product. So what about the cost effectiveness and how it will be beneficial in comparison to the existing solutions?
Actually, the cost of this antenna is also very lesser because nowadays we are getting the mobile phones because this is for used for mobile phone application. So we are getting around 5,000, 6,000. Even we are getting mobile phone with Wi-Fi connection, everything, internet connection, everything, even 1,000 rupees. But this antenna, it's like a 5G mobile antenna, so we can say. So the cost of this antenna is compared with other things around. It's like. Um, Around 3,000, sir. But the only thing is the fabrication testing is little bit higher.
Okay, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Now
so
we
much.
can, yeah. Now we can move with our next presentation. For our next presentation, we have Yadala Sucharita, who is going to present her paper on a novel financial market prediction framework based on deep learning for accurate trend forecasting.
Sucharita. I believe she
I
is
think
not in
she's
the
at.
meeting. Yeah.
We'll move on to our next presentation. For our next presentation, we have Dana MC, who is going to present her paper on enhancing personal finance decision in the digital era, awareness, adoption, and influence of digital personal finance. We would like to confirm your presence before we can start your presentation.
I think she is not in the meeting.
We will move on with the next presentation if she is not here. For our next presentation, we have Achala Fernando, who is going to present her paper, Home Cook SL, a digital approach to addressing food insecurity through empowering home-based food businesses with business to nutrition, hygiene, and business sustainability.
Can I share my screen?
Yes, please.
My screen visible.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ashana Fernandez, and I will be presenting my research, which is a digital platform to address the issue of food insecurity through empowering home-based food businesses with focus to the concepts of food nutrition, food hygiene, and business sustainability. So today in my presentation, I will be covering the main problem which is identified, which I derived from the data gathered from the literature review, the methodologies that I used to gather this data, my proposed solution and its implementation, and finally the results and discussions along with the conclusion. So moving on to my main problem. In the year 2022, 783 million people faced hunger worldwide. So this was an alarming increase of 122 million from the year 2019, which was before the COVID-19 pandemic. And the reason behind this was food insecurity. However, it's very important to note that the concept of food insecurity is not equal to the concept of hunger, which is people not having access to food. So food insecurity goes far beyond the issue of hunger, which I will look into in my next slide. So what is food insecurity? According to the United States Department of Agriculture, food insecurity is the lack of consistent and equitable access to healthy, safe, and affordable food that promote optimum health and well-being. Having inadequate access to healthy food results in short-term and long-term health hardships, which can negatively affect a person's quality of life. So, food insecurity is identified as a critical global issue since it is even mentioned in the second Sustainable Development Goal as to achieve food security, and due to the fact that in the year 2022, over 3.1 billion people was not having access to a healthy diet. So these figures clearly show that food insecurity is a critical global issue. Now, if we dive into this problem at a local level, according to the World Food Programme, 17% of the Sri Lankan population was facing moderate to acute food insecurity. This means that people are having access to food, but they don't have sufficient resources for access to for a healthy food diet. And according to the Global Food Security Index, my country was ranked at the 79th position out of 113 countries in the year 2022 as well. So these figures clearly show that food insecurity is a current major issue in Sri Lanka. Moving on, we can look into the main causes of food insecurity, which I have highlighted in my research. According to the United Nations, people living in urban areas face food insecurity in terms of the inability to locate the resources for a nutritious diet when compared to people living in rural areas. This is mainly due to the increased amount of highly processed food which are being available in these urban areas. And moreover, according to the Food Security and Nutrition Report, it was estimated that over 2.5 billion people consume street food, which is of course not the healthiest food choice. This was mainly due to factors such as having less time to cook due to their busy schedules or due to lack of resources. And majority of these individuals are busy individuals like students or working professionals who live away from their homes. So to further understand the level of food insecurity faced by people living away from home, I conducted a pilot study. I distributed a questionnaire to a sample of 73 students and working professionals living away from home, and I conducted interviews with industry experts to further understand this problem. And according to my pilot study, it showed that 98% of the respondents were concerned about the nutritional value of the food they consume. However, a majority of these respondents seem to order takeout on a daily basis. And as shown in this slide, over 60% of the respondents stated that they eat outside food almost every day, whereas the rest admitted to getting takeout for more than 3 times a week. So we can look into the reason in the next slide. So the reason was, even though these respondents were concerned that the nutritional value of the food they order is important, they did not acquire information about this since they felt that it was very inconvenient to do so. So this clearly shows that the participants are concerned and are willing to get an insight of the nutritional value, but they did not want to go through the hassle of talking or calling to inquire about this information. And two of the main key findings also included that 80% of the respondents were having a preference to get an insight of the nutritional component of their meal options, but more than 80% was concerned about the hygiene standards of the food also. So it makes it clear that consumers are willing to adapt to new tools that provide information about the nutritional value of their foods and the hygiene standards of the vendors that they purchase this food from, so that they can make informed decisions when purchasing the meals. This also helps the consumers to tackle the issue of food insecurity that they are facing currently. So, moving on to my proposed solution. I propose to address the issue of food insecurity through Home Cook, which is a digital platform which mainly considers the nutritional value and the hygiene standards of the food with a focus to business sustainability. So, this solution is mainly aimed at individuals with a busy lifestyle. Moving on to the technical aspect. So the main features of my application are, the first one is nutritional value tracker. The consumer will be able to view the micronutrients in their meals. It is calculated by using the ingredients used to prepare that relevant meal. And next, the vendor hygiene rating. The customers will be able to view the hygiene rating of vendors through this feature. The hygiene rating is calculated as a manual process since the vendor onboarding will be done manually in order to ensure that kitchen premises are in accordance with the hygiene standards. And next, the customers will also be able to enter any allergens or dietary preferences, and warning messages will be prompted if the meal they select is against the allergen or dietary preferences. And then I have integrated a recommendation system to this as well. So recommendation system uses natural language processing and sentiment analysis to recommend the meals to the customers. And next, there's the order scheduling feature. So customers are given the opportunity to schedule their orders for a period of 1 week. This feature was proposed because during the industrial survey, there was many respondents. More than 95% of the respondents stated that they had difficulties in planning their meals.
This
And
is a
next,
gentle reminder, ma'am, that your time is almost up. Please finish your presentation within the next 1 minute. Thank you.
okay, okay. So I will move on to the results and discussions. The overall feedback from evaluators and users and industry experts were positive, with suggestions for improvements like better hygiene inspections, more dietary options, and enhanced nutritional data. And the recommendation model was also well received for its personalized suggestions, and the nutritional composition feature also got a high satisfaction rating. And for long-term vendor sustainability measures, there is a plan to provide training and educational resources on aspects such as hygiene standards and food safety. And further, vendors will be able to have an insight on their performance in the form of ratings and reviews as well. So with that, I have reached the end of my presentation. So I would like to conclude with the statement that home cook is a visionary solution that addresses the concerns faced by students and working professionals living away from home with regard to food insecurity while promoting home-based food business. Yes, so thank you. Now I'm free to answer any questions.
Thank you for your presentation.
Okay.
One question is, did you develop the mobile application to measure the nutrient, or
Yes,
you are
actually
using
I
some
have,
app?
sorry.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Uh, yes, so I have included this as a future recommendation. Currently, there is only a desktop version, but through the testing stage, I found out that many users prefer mobile applications. So, as a future improvement, I have included that.
Thank you.
I would like to ask our other session chair if he has any questions, or we can move on to the next presentation. Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the presentation.
Thanks.
For our next presentation, we have Wilson M. Tam, who is going to present his paper on Masquerade, anonymous age verification using the modular open source identity platform.
Oh, thank you very much for that. If I could get the permission to share my screen.
Yes, sir, you could proceed.
There you have it. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, good morning to everyone. So I'm here. I'm Wilson. I'm from the University of the Philippines, and I'm here to present our work titled Masquerade, Anonymous Age Verification using the Modular Open Source Identity Platform. So with me in this work are my students, Ivan Kadyang and Jared Hechanova. Again, we're from the Networks Lab of the University of the Philippines. Um, so just a quick intro. Age verification. Age verification is an very important issue in online transactions. So this is important, say for example, when accessing adult websites. So in the States, this is actually a very recent issue. A lot of states are passing laws that require websites to check the ages of their visitors. Okay. However, this is not just an issue for online transactions. This is also an issue in offline transactions. Say, for example, when you want to buy alcohol or cigarettes or you want to access adult entertainment. Say, for example, you go to a 7-Eleven or a convenience store, right? So you have to prove that you are of legal age. So what happens here is that you usually show an ID, say a driver's license. So this system kind of works. I think this is something that's very familiar to most, if not all of us. However, this system is also problematic. Why is this problematic? This is problematic because in the process of sharing or showing your ID, you actually end up divulging information that has nothing to do with your age. So the 7-Eleven cashier, as you could imagine, would end up knowing what your name is or what your address is. Whereas the only information that you need to convey is just your age. Okay, so it's an overkill when you think about it. You end up leaking personal information. So let's put that aside for now and let me introduce you or run you through recent developments in the national ID system of the Philippines. So in the Philippines, we have Republic Act number 11055, also known as the Philippine Identification System Act. And this law established the Philippine Identification System, or PhilSys for short. So PhilSys is a foundational ID. So this is kind of landmark law in the Philippines because prior to this law, a lot of Filipinos relied on functional IDs. So when they need to prove their identity, they have to show driver's licenses, passports, voter IDs. But as you could imagine, the problem with the setup like that is not a lot of people, not all people have those IDs. If you can't drive, you don't have a car, then you don't have a driver's license, right? So this ends up disenfranchising a lot of people, as you could imagine. So that is a problem which PhilSys, the foundational ID, tried to solve. So this is as you could see here, this is a specimen picture of the national ID or the PhilSys ID. And on the right, you could see photos of actual registration activities. So the PhilSys ID, the Philippine government did not actually create the ID from scratch. What it did was it used this modular open source identity platform, or MOSIP. So what is MOSIP? MOSIP is a software which countries can customize and use when they want to roll out national foundational IDs. So MOSIP actually is based in India, and actually it's actually based a lot on Aadhaar. I see a lot of Indian participates over here in our room. All right. So basically, you could think of it as this is an attempt to export Aadhaar, so to speak, the open source Aadhaar. So MOSIP is founded or funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the Tata Foundation as well. So this is a website of MOSIP. You could visit it later should you so wish. So what is interesting about MOSIP is that MOSIP has APIs which third parties, formerly known as relying parties, can leverage for identification purposes. So if you go to the website, there's actually a part of it like this where you could see the MOSIP APIs and instructions on how to use them. So in diagram, it's something like this. So you have a relying party application. Let's say you have a barcode scanner. It could scan the barcode of the ID, extract the information, and then using that information, send a query to the MOSIP server. So for example, I was able to scan from the QR code the name Juan de la Cruz, and the claimed date of birth is March 8, 1985. Is this correct? And the MOSIP server could then reply with a simple yes or no. I was point out though that this is just one sample query. Okay, there are other types of queries that are possible. So PhilSys, being based on MOSIP, also has the potential to open up these APIs. Now, bringing these two together, the problem with identification and the recent developments in the national ID scene in the Philippines, the central thesis of our project is that the MOSIP ID and API can be leveraged to create an age verification system for offline use, which does not necessitate the user to disclose unnecessary personal information. So this is the architecture of our system. I'll run you through them one by one. So for our client, the user-facing side, we utilize a Raspberry Pi, an R54, with a no IR camera and LCD screen, and this basically runs as kit-based application. So here we have the picture of the actual system, the actual client. This is an R54. We see here the LCD screen. We could also see the camera here. We also have a Node.js server, which serves as the primary backend of this kit application. We also have another server, the Fast API web server, which handles authentication requests from the Node.js server. And this server is the one which actually interfaces with the MOSIP server through the MOSIP SDK. We also have a Neon database, which handles the mapping between the Philsys card number to a UIN. I have more to say about this later. And finally, we have the MOSIP side of things, the MOSIP test bed. Okay, so what's the process like? So firstly, the camera is going to scan the QR code. It's going to decode that. That happens in the Raspberry Pi. So as mentioned, we have a SvelteKit application running on the RPi. And then the information that was decoded, it's going to send that to the Node.js server. Primarily, what is of interest to us would be the PCN and the date of birth. The name is actually not much of interest to us. And then the web server is going to query the Neon database so that we could figure out the mapping between the PCN and the UIN. So why the need for this mapping? Over at the MOSIP database, users are identified using the UIN. It's user identification number. And even in the API expects UIN as an input. But if you look at actual systems that are implemented, this UIN, the actual key in the database, you almost never include this in the actual ID for security reasons. Instead, what you put in the ID is another number, and you have to map that public number to the hidden number, okay? And that's the purpose of this database of ours, the Neon database. So after that, after we were done with the mapping, the web server, the Node.js server could now contact the Fast API server. The Fast API server would then be the one to contact the MOSIP testbed, the actual query, and eventually it's going to respond. And then the web server at this point would now have an answer. Is the data correct or not? And then the Fast API server would talk to the node server, which would then relay it to the RPi. So the RPi for its part would then display these possible results on the screen. So over at the left, this is what you see when the verification is successful. So basically, this is saying that the person is 18 or older, please sell alcohol or whatever. Okay. And there's a picture here. I want to clarify. I want to emphasize that this picture actually does not come from the web server. This does not come from the MOSIP server. This picture is actually encoded in the ID. And the picture is important, as you could imagine, because without that picture, you could just borrow your father's ID and buy alcohol, which is probably what we don't want, right? So it's not enough that you see a green check. You have to check the photo as well, whether it matches the holder of the ID. For the middle panel, we see the result when we have a valid ID, but the age is below 18. And finally, on the right, we see the screen that will be shown when the ID is problematic, which is possible when you have fake IDs. Okay, so for our deployment setup, as I already mentioned, we utilize an RPi4 Model B. So this is
Just a
actually
gentle
this
reminder,
is
sir,
located.
that
All
your
right.
time is almost
This
over.
is located in the Philippines. And for our web servers, we have a SvelteKit application and Fast API application. These are located in Southeast Asia. We use Azure. So for the load test setup, we actually run the 24-hour load test. So this is simply repeated HTTP posts, okay? So we have 1,000 pre-encoded QR codes, 4% were intentionally invalid. Um, so we got several metrics. I'm not going to run through all of this because there are quite a lot. But what is important to us is this very last slide. So in general, transactions are fast. At least for our setup, we're able to do, it's trivial. The RPi is sufficient for the decoding task. The slowest part of the process, because I ran you through the process, is actually the MOSIP decoding. Okay, the querying the MOSIP database. So for our conclusion, through this project, we were able to demonstrate that the system works. It is generally stable. It has a consistent throughput. We could handle high frequency transaction environments. As mentioned, the slowest part is the MOSEP authentication stage, the test bed. But we are open to the possibility that this is something that is specific to our setup. It is possible that the test bed simply isn't designed for high frequency transactions. Okay. It's actually possible that we are being throttled. We haven't looked into that. So in your actual, should you decide to implement this or roll this out, this is something that you have to take note of, but this is not really a cause for concern. I mean, you just have to be careful with regards to the authentication part. And that's it. Thank you very much. I will now handle questions or answer questions from the audience if any.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you
will
very
now
much.
like to ask both our session chairs if they have any questions.
Thank you. I have one question. As you said about the MOSIP server,
Sorry, I
you
think
are
the
able
audio
to,
is quite low.
okay. So I want to know about the MOSIP server. You are talking about MOSIP server because you are taking the, you are authenticating your data from there, right?
Yes, yes.
So so you are you have the access of the MOSIP server
No, there's actually a
because
publicly available MOSIP test bed because we've been working with the MOSIP Foundation itself. So they gave us access to their test bed, and that's what we've been using for this project. So basically, we were
okay,
given
fine.
API keys, and that's what we use in building this application.
Okay, fine. You talk about that when authentication is succeed, image is also coming. The picture of the person is also coming, and that picture is a different picture, right?
Uh, Sorry, let me just shift to
32, slide number 32.
sorry, Dr. Nassar, if you could ask the question again.
My question is, you told that when authentication is succeed, you are getting the image of the person, right?
All right, yes. So basically, no.
Image.
What we're asking the MOSIP test bed is this information true or not? The identification, the simple logic, greater than 18 or less
Okay,
older than 18 or
fine.
younger than 18, that is something that's being done on our server.
Okay, okay, fine, fine.
So
Thank you.
MOSIP itself does not have an API 18 or older, legal age or not. It does not have that. However, it could
Okay,
verify, you could give it information. It's going to answer, yes, that's true. No, that combination of information is false.
fine. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much as well for the question.
If there are no any further questions, we can move to the next presentation.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation. For our next presentation, we have Ephraim Mbaki Luzesu, who is going to present his paper on optimizing banks' decision-making architecture in the context of corporate and business-oriented BI models. I will like to confirm if he is here with us.
I think not available.
Okay. Then we will move on to our next presentation for the day. Our next presentation is by Muxia, who is going to present his paper on psychological capital and entrepreneurial passion, the moderating role of environmental dynamism in Chinese nascent entrepreneurs. Are you here with us?
Not available, I think so.
think they are not available. We will move on to the further presentation. The next presentation is by Nitin Prakash, who is going to present his paper on smart business AI applications in entrepreneurship.
Good morning, delegates, scholars, and industry leaders. I am Nitin Prakash, and today I will be speaking on the theme Smart Business AI Application in Entrepreneurship. This talk explores how artificial intelligence is transforming entrepreneurial ecosystem by enhancing efficiency, decision making, and innovation. The transformative power of AI in entrepreneurship. AI has been emerged as a game changer for modern business by analyzing large volumes of data. It creates actionable insights, reduces efficiencies, and enables entrepreneurs to gain a competitive edge. In dynamic and uncertain markets, AI empowers startups and enterprises to adapt quickly and grow sustainably. AI at the core of entrepreneurial growth. In the era of industry, AI is at the very core of entrepreneurial success. It serves as the bridge of smart connectivity, integrating automated and digital systems for seamless communication and agility. It also acts as the light bulb of innovation, enabling autonomous decision making. Overcoming entrepreneurship challenges with artificial intelligence. Entrepreneurs face uncertainty, volatility, and risk every day. Traditional manual decision making is often slow and error prone. AI helps overcome these barriers through real time data analytics, automation of repetitive decisions. AI reduces uncertainty, improves responsiveness, and strengthens strategic clarity. Research questions and objectives. This study focuses on key questions. How do entrepreneurs currently integrate AI into their operations? Which AI tool best supports decision making? How does AI help in risk reduction and opportunity recognition? Literature review, AI impacts and research gaps. Scholars like Guguli and Pellegrini and Chalmers and McKinsey highlight AI roles in opportunity recognition, decision making, and venture scaling. However, research gaps remain, especially in industry specific, real world applications, and sector wise adoption patterns. Comprehensive research methodology. To capture these insights, a mixed method design is applied. Primary data comes from surveys, interviews, and focus groups with young entrepreneurs. Secondary sources include government reports and database. By integrating both qualitative and quantitative data, the study ensured depth, breadth, and validity in understanding AI adoption trends. Contemporary AI technologies and frameworks in entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs today leverage with a wide range of AI tools. NLP for customer interaction, machine learning for predictive analytics, deep learning for complex data, and robotics for automation. Entrepreneurial outcomes influenced by AI. The outcomes of AI adoption are both financial and non-financial. Financially, entrepreneurs experience higher profits, cost savings, and revenue growth. Non-financially, AI reduces repetitive work, increase autonomy, and improve decision confidence, leading to better job satisfaction and well-being. Applications, challenges, and future scope. AI offers exciting applications, personalized customer experiences, predictive market forecasting, task automation, and innovative business models. Yet challenges persist, including ethical concern, data privacy risk, and the need for constant adaptation to rapid technologies changes. Looking ahead, the future scope lies in developing sector-specific AI applications, validating them in real-world context, and promoting responsible AI adoption to balance innovation with ethical responsibility. Thank you. To conclude, artificial intelligence is not just a tool, but a transformative partner in entrepreneurship. It empowers business to innovate, grow, and sustain in a volatile digital economy. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I have one question. You mentioned about the industry 4.0. What is this actually?
About the Industry 4.0.
Mr. Nathan, are you able to hear the questions?
It's not really, I think.
I think he's unable to hear us. We will move on at the current moment with our next presentations.
Please go ahead.
Yes. So for our next presentation, we have Yusuf Gebelia, who is going to present his paper titled The Psychology of Digital Brand Engagement, Understanding Consumer Responses to UGC, BGC, and AIGC. Thank you.
All right, good. I think it's good morning to everyone. It's late evening for me, but it is my pleasure to be here and to be sharing my research, which is a titled The Psychology of Digital Brand Engagement, Understanding Consumer Responses to UGC, which is user-generated content, BGC, brand-generated content, and AI-generated content. I heavily research and publish when it comes to the artificial intelligence, and especially working with the brand content, and trying to explore today with you some of the findings from the research. In within the next 10 minutes, I will try to quickly present the content, to look on the literature a little bit on some of the results, and also offer some findings when it comes to my work. Basically, what it comes to that quick outline here, in a digital attention economy, brands are increasingly utilizing diverse content strategies, including user-generated content, BGC, AI-generated content, and trying to engage with the consumers, and also to shape a little bit of the brand perception, which is very important from the brand resonance, which is a brand loyalty. So this research does explore how consumers psychologically engage with these three content types, and also this research is grounded into a CPT, which is a cognitive processing theory, that allows us to kind of validate the questions. As you will see, the main research question was here to explore which content stimulates the strongest psychological behavioral engagement, and then how do consumers perceive authenticity, trust, emotional connection across all three different type of the content. And next here, brands today perform in the multimodal ecosystems, which actually is clearly visible when it comes to the type of the generations that we are working with. Ecosystems are characterized with all these different type of the contents that makes job of the branding and also the marketing practitioners a little bit more interesting. I would not say hard, but makes it more to engage with the creativity, etc., and etc. when we are creating a content. And in each type of the content, we have a distinct psychological and emotional research. So the reactions for the consumers eventually they are impacting the behaviors and also brand loyalty based on the interactions and engagements. From the literature analysis and looking information, there is some statistical numbers when it comes to it. 70% of the consumers are more likely to trust user-generated content versus the brand creation promotions. BGC remains fundamental in brand consistency, with 60-70% of the marketers admitting that they are strengthening brand messaging by that. Based on the information from the Salesforce, 54% of the marketing teams globally have embraced AI tools, although 41% of them consumers voiced concerns about the transparency and authenticity when interacting with the AI generated content. Furthermore, for engagements, user generated content yields 6.7 times more higher interaction rates compared to BGC and AI generated content. Also, these statistics show that there is a need for the hybrid content strategy that uses UGC's authenticity, BGC's control, and AIGC's scalability, which is again was really interesting information finding out from the available literature. Moving next, here is the quick summary of the literature. Just sake of the time, I will try to go a little bit faster with. Basically, in the research work, I have compared all these three different type of contexts based on this core definition and to see what is the major differences into it. Typical formats that we are using when it comes to the engagement and interactions, control and consistency, perceived authenticity, speed and scalability, cost profiles, because there is a cost heavily related to that, conversion power, discovery when it comes to the search engine optimization, and risk and compliance, of course, longevity and ethical considerations. All of them are key, let's say, the characteristics for all three different type of the contents, and definitely all of them do offer different type of the engagements and interactions with the consumer. So when practitioners are working in those type of the contents, it's heavily advisable that to focus on those differentiators to be able to develop a strong content strategies. When it comes to the research methodology, use the mixed methodology. There was a survey study, semi-structured interviews, and also, as I mentioned earlier, it was grounded in a cognitive processing theory that was adding really good information to that. When it comes to the survey results, what we have here is that, as I said, we had the 327 survey responses, and after cleaning process, 221 was valid. Therefore, all variables were checked for the outliers. I moved it really fast here for the outliers and normalized where it was necessary. Cronbach alpha was in the what do you call it, the available coefficients, which was the 0.08. And also, when we looked from the surgical responses, it was computed, so we can look on the engagement, trans, and emotional responses. When it comes to that, first we conducted a what do you call it, the independent sample t-test, and it was followed by a ANOVA analysis, so we can see and determine the extent which consumer or content type had a significant impact on the consumer psychological responses, and then it was closed and finalized with the peer correlations. A little bit of the insights that comes from a t-test. There was no statistical significant differences in a consumer psychological responses between participants exposed to UGC, but those who were exposed to the BGC and what we call it, the AIGC were showing slight, moderate, I would say, the significance. However, mostly we could say that there was no significant differences in there. Based on the ANOVA results, what we saw is that the results revealed that the content type had no statistical significant effects, meaning that the content origin did not impact consumers' emotional responses to the brand content. When it comes to the correlations, this is the illustration for the correlations. Again, I don't want to run through the numbers, which again is available for us, but engagement and emotional response and trust were the strongest predictors of the consumer psychological response. Also, the following results demonstrated that regarding content types, first, content type and UGC revealed a significant positive correlation with consumer psychological responses, strengthening prior results that user-generated content improves emotional and trust-based evaluations. Second, content type and BGC was not significantly associated to the consumer responses. And then content type in AIGC, although often discussed in today's digital marketing strategy, demonstrated no significant relationships with psychological responses, meaning that consumers are still uncertain and there is a circumstantial dependence into it, because AIGC is kind of the, not kind of, but it is the new tool in there. Next part was that we did the interview. I had 17 participants in there. Again, the industries represented were technology, finance, education, fashion, media. We had 13 different questions, and those results were broken down in 4 major patterns. Or the thematic analysis here, we had the authenticity as a trust anchor. We had the perceived relatability and peer validation, symbolic resistance to overbranding, which actually was very interesting finding, and emotional fatigue with AI-generated content. So pattern 3 and 4 was very interesting to find out from the discussions, sorry, from the interviews. And based on discussions here, quickly, first, user-generated content almost always produces the strongest psychological and behavioral engagement. BGC and IGC did not show statistically significant correlations. Second, results revealed that consumer perceptions significantly vary across the 3 different contents. UGC was remarked as the most authentic and trustworthy, while BGC was seen as controlled, and then AIGC was a little bit polarized. As a conclusions, we can say that UGC is more than BGC, and BGC is more than AIGC. Again, based on the data and information. Moreover, UGC dominates while AIGC struggles to reproduce the warmth and then spontaneity that consumers expect from the genuine content. And then these results actually do strengthen the discourse that authenticity cannot be mass produced. I think that's the very important statement here. Authenticity cannot be mass produced, and that emotional connection stays as human driven advantage in digital branding and marketing challenges by AI. And then finally, last piece, the results support that UGC continues yield a strategic edge over BGC and AIGC due to its high resonance and consumer expectations. And then AIGC, though not statistically damaging to engagement, represents a strategic blind spot. And I want to highlight here a strategic blind spot, which is the high efficiency, low empathy, until it is under with high transparency and emotional intelligence. So this is kind of the final remarks here. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that will come my way, and I think I make it in under 10 minutes. So I'm open to any questions which come my way.
Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you.
I would
I
like
have
to ask
one question.
further questions.
Sir.
I have one question, that how you generate AIGC data?
Can you repeat the first part, please?
How you generate the AIGC data?
How I
AIGC.
generate?
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you
AIGC
generate
data.
or
Sorry?
did you generate or you use?
No, yeah, we well with Well, as a practitioner, I use the AI generated content, which was part of the research as well to see how consumers do react to it. And then based on these results, then we utilize it into the research to see. And that's why we say that it is the blind spot because it's not heavily used because there is the issue with transparency and how true it is. However, yes, in practice with my marketing team, we do constantly mix when you create the campaigns, UGC with BGC and IIGC, and then engagement rates are almost similar but slightly different because today the extent how AI generated content can be created, and there are multiple AI tools for that, especially using a SEMrush, which is amazing platform. It creates almost realistic campaigns. So for the consumers, as vibrant, as dynamic it is, it's easier. But directly to your question, yes, I do use the AI generated content and brand generated content also work with it and user generated, of course.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yep, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And if there is no any other questions, then again, thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for that presentation. We will move ahead to our next presentation. For our next presentation, we have Kajal P. Salampuria, who is going to present her paper on the role of agriculture in the food industry and global trade, challenges and opportunities.
Thank you so much, sir. Good morning, respected dignitaries and delegates. I am Kajal Salampuria, and it is my privilege to present on the theme the role of agriculture in food industry and global trade challenges and opportunities. Agriculture, the backbone of India's livelihood and food security. Agriculture is not just an economic activity in India, it is a way of life. It directly and indirectly support more than 50% of our population, sustains rural economics, and ensures the food security for over a billion peoples. However, the land holdings and a dependence on monsoon still makes the sector vulnerable. Despite these challenges, agriculture remains central to socio-economic stability and poverty reduction and rural development. The agriculture food industry next year's from the farm to fork agriculture and the food industry are independent. Crops, livelihoods, and fisheries provide the raw materials. Food processing industries transform them into consumable products. Efficient distribution system brings this product to the market and making them accessible to the consumers. This integrated chain not only ensures the food availability but also drives the economic growth. India's agriculture strengths and crop diversities. Uh, India's diverse climate ensures us to cultivate a wide variety of crops, from staples like uh, rice, wheat, pulses, and sugar canes, and high value commodities such as spices, tea, coffee, and sugarcane, and horticulture products like mangoes. This diversity makes India both food secure and domestically. Uh, food secure domestically and strong player in global agricultural market. India role in India leading role in global agricultural exports. India has emerged as one of the world's leading agricultural exporter. In 2020 to 2021, exports reached nearly 17 billion US dollar. The grapes, spices, teas, rice, and marine products are among on the top contribution. Agricultural exports not only strengthen the foreign exchange receives but also supports the rural employment and national economic growth. However, the sustaining sustaining this requires constant investment in infrastructure and adherence to the international quality standards. Drivers fueling India's agricultural export. Global demands is rising, driven by expanding the middle classes and trade agreements. Technology is also reshapes the agriculture and improve the logistics and cold chains to the digital platforms. Cluster-based approaches includes farmers, producers, organizations, and self-help groups are helping farmers achieve the scale and competitiveness in the global market. Innovation transforming the agricultural and food processing. Innovation is at the heart of the progress. Uh, The farming tools like GPS, IoT sensors, AI analytics, and drones optimizes the resources uses and increase the productivities. Advancement in fruit processes technologies extend the shelf life and reduce the waste. Meanwhile, the digital platforms and e-commerce ensures the better price discovery and wide market access for the farmers. This innovation make agriculture more efficient, sustainable, and globally competitive. Overcoming trade barriers and supply chain uh, constraints. Despite progress, challenges remains. Exports growth in restricting by the traffics, quotas, and subsidies imposes by the importing nations in India. Inadequate cold storage and logistic infrastructure cause significant post harvest losses. Additionally, strengthening the sustainability regulation in the market like European Union and compliance costs. Overcoming this requires coordinated policies reforms, investment in infrastructure, and great supply chain integration. Opportunities, sustainability, and technology advancements. Global demand for organic uh, and plant-based food is raised. The organic food market uh, alone exceeds 220 billion US dollars. Smart farming technologies powered by IoTs and AIs are opening the new opportunities in productivities. Shifting customer preferences towards the healthy and sustainable diet creates the vast opportunity for Indian agriculture. To diversify into the superfoods and plant-based exports opportunities. Opportunities, policy support, employment, and economic growth. Government initiates such as an agri-export policy 2018 provides the country exports and promote the sustainable farming. Investment in cold storage, logistics, and processing industries are not only strengthening the exports readiness but also generates the rural employment with livestock, aquaculture, and agro processing driving growth. So, surplus agricultural products has the potential fuel to the global economic development. Unlocking India's agricultural potential in a global next years. To the concluded, agriculture, food, and trade together forms a crucial nexus for ensuring the global food security and sustainable growth. Despite the climatic challenges and trade barriers, India has demonstrated resiliences through the innovations, supportive policies, and diversification. Unlocking India's full potential requires collaboration among farmers, industries, policymakers, and global partners by ensuring technologies, sustainability, and strategic trade policies. India can strengthen its uh, leadership role in global agriculture. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you for your presentation. Uh, my first question is, what is your actual contribution in this research?
Sir, actually, I have studied about the challenges about the rural agriculture in the food industry to export the food to the market, to the global
Mhm.
market, actually, for global trading.
So, how you relate this with the sustainability? How
Sir,
you are
I can't
relating
hear
with
you.
this? How you are relating this with sustainability?
Yes, sir. Actually, I'm relating it with sustainability because it is a biggest problem. While products are globally trading, then the sustainability is required. That's why it is
Okay.
related to the sustainability.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That's it from my side.
If there are no more further questions from the session chairs, we can move towards the next presentation.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Before we move towards concluding the session, I would like to just check upon the participants, those who might be present at the current moment. I would like to check if Yadala Susharita ma'am is present in the meeting.
Is not.
Is anyone else is presenting in behalf of her? We can continue.
Then there's Chandana MC.
Yes, you can start your presentation.
Good morning, respected panel. May I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. Please.
Good morning, respected panel and fellow scholars. I am Chandana MC. I am honored to present our paper titled Enhancing Personal Financial Decision Making in the Digital Era in 2025 ISBM conference. Our study focuses on three central aspects: the level of awareness people have about digital financial tools, how much these tools are adopted in practice, and finally, how they influence the financial decisions of individuals. Why is this important? Because financial decision making affects everyone, like students, working professionals, entrepreneurs, and families. Today, tools like UPI, Paytm, and robo advisors are not just optional, they are shaping how money is managed in everyday life. And this makes it essential to study their actual impact. Move on to the background of first. Technology has transformed how people manage money. Money from UPI to robo-advisors. Adoption is not equal. Some groups benefit, others face challenges. Security concerns, low trust, and lack of digital literacy act as barriers. In India, these imbalances may widen the economic gap if not addressed. To set the background, in the last decade, digitization has transformed the way money flows. We have moved from cash and checks to online transfers, wallets, and investment apps. The convenience is undeniable. You can transfer money in seconds, check balances instantly, or invest through a mobile bank. However, this transformation brings challenges. Security remains the biggest concern. Cases like digital fraud often discourage people from trusting these systems. Similarly, not everyone has the same digital literacy level. Rural communities and older populations may still struggle with using digital platforms. In India, these challenges matter more because financial inclusion is a national priority if digital tools are not accessible or trustworthy for all. The divide between digital literate and digitally excluded groups may actually widen. Next, to go to the research gap. Most studies focus on usage, not on how tools change behavior. Few Indian studies connect digital finance with decision making and habits. Our study aims to bridge this gap by analyzing awareness, behavior, preferences, and outcomes. Now, let me explain the research gap. Most global studies have focused on adoption rates. For example, how many people use PayPal or UPay? But far fewer studies ask the deeper question, do these tools change how people think and behave financially? In India, despite the rapid rise of fintech, there is limited research on how these tools affect actual decision making, whether they encourage saving, reduce risk, or perhaps even trigger impulsive spending. That gap inspired our research. We wanted to go beyond adoption numbers and instead uh, examine awareness, preferences, behavior, and financial outcomes together. Go to the objectives of the study. First one is study the awareness of digital personal financial tools, evaluate the impact on decision making and behavior, explore preference between digital and traditional platforms, assess long-term financial outcomes of tools. First one is to measure awareness, how familiar people are with digital financial tools such as wallets, budgeting apps, and robo-advisors. Second one is to evaluate the impact on decision making and behavior. For example, do users become more disciplined with spending, or do they spend more impulsively because transactions are so easy? Third one is to explore preferences between digital and traditional banking, even though many use apps. A significant number still walk into a bank branch. We wanted to know why. And finally, to assess the long-term outcomes of digital finance. Does regular use of digital tools lead to better savings, investments, and financial stability over time? Um, then move on to the hypothesis. First one is individuals are aware of digital finance tools. Second, tools affect behavior and decision making. Third, Preferences differ between digital and traditional users. For one, long-term outcomes vary depending on strategy. This means together these hypotheses connect awareness, adoption, outcomes. The first one is proposed that individuals are aware of digital personal finance tools. This reflects the assumption that digital finance has reached a wide audience. Second hypothesis stated that these tools affect financial behavior and decision making. In other words, use changes not just what people do, but how they think about money. Third one is predicted that preferences differ. Some people will prefer digital methods, others will remain loyal to traditional banking, and many will fall somewhere in between. Finally, fourth one suggested that long term financial outcomes vary depending on how people engage with these tools. This links everyday digital choices to broader financial health. Next one is methodology. We use descriptive and analytical research design. 156 respondents using stratified random sampling.
Hello.
I think she lost the connection.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. So after all the particular presentations, I
Wait,
sincerely,
we'll check for other two presenters.
okay, I would like to ask if Ephraim Mbaki Luzesu is present in the meeting. I would like to ask if Mozia or anyone on his behalf is present in the meeting. Okay. So I sincerely thank all the authors that were present today for their excellent presentations and their contribution in this session, and all our participants for being a part of this conference. I hope this session was informative enough. We, on behalf of the whole team, thank you for this support during this fourth version and all the previous three versions of the conference. A notice to all the presenters that they will be getting their digital certificates through email within 2 working days. The publication will be live within 7 to 8 months. Kindly cooperate with the team of ISBM 2025. As we conclude, I would like to extend our sincere thanks to our session chair, Professor Mohammad Nasser, for his guidance throughout the session with his thoughtful leadership. On behalf of Team ISBN 2025 and Global Knowledge Research Foundation and partners, we are pleased to present this token of appreciation in the recognition of your valuable presence. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
At the same time, I would also like to present the token of appreciation to our second session chair, Dr. Kirit J. Modi, on behalf of Team ISBM 2025, Global Knowledge Research Foundation, and partners. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone who was a part of this conference. I would like to conclude this session now.
Thank
Thank you,
you
sir.
very
Sir,
much.
please
Have
send
a
our
great one.
yes, sir.
Thank
Now,
you.
before everyone goes, let I request everyone that is present to just turn on the videos so we can take a quick photo. Thank you.